And we welcome you this morning to Power Talks as we try to encourage you and to empower you with the truth. Good morning, Melody. How are you today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much.
I thought I'd lost you there for a second. Are we doing Open Mic Friday?
I think we should. It's Friday.
Open Mic Friday, 717-300-1218.
We pretty much have open mic Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Well, but they have to stay on topic.
I agree, yes.
But today they can choose a topic within reason. Sometimes we choose to not touch certain topics, certain things that they might want to go to. But 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218. May I start out with a good story?
You may, and I have a good story.
I had to search.
I hope it's not the same story.
I don't think so. Mine's about a Connecticut boy. He's 9 years old.
Go ahead.
Okay. He's 9 years old. He's a Connecticut boy. And he speaks good English, and his mother does not. And his baby sister had got choked. She had vomited and got choked on her vomit, and they noticed she wasn't breathing. So they made the call, but the mother was too hysterical, and she doesn't speak well or doesn't she can't hear English well. She doesn't do well anyway. So he was translating. So he took the phone call, and he was telling his mother everything to do to save his little sister's life. And that's what they did. And he stayed calm and cool while his mother kind of lost it, I guess. And they claimed he was a brave little boy and a hero. They are, what descent are they? It said in here. I'm trying to remember. Maybe it didn't say. Anyway, they are Hispanic of some kind, and they weren't from Mexico. They were from somewhere else. But anyway, they Portuguese. They weren't able to communicate well, but he could. And I think that's a tremendous story, and it's also a tremendous story telling us how important it is to learn the language before you live.
Yes.
Because it was life. And I think mothers panic sometimes, and I was a mother, but you have to kind of know CPR. You need to know a little bit of first aid if you're going to have a bunch of kiddos, because they're going to try you. They're going to try you with broken arms, cuts, bruises, knocks on the head, whatever it is. They do all kinds of strange things.
Probably boys more than girls.
Well, that may be, but girls get hurt too.
Girls get hurt too, absolutely. Well, I was referring to your 5 boys.
Yeah, well, they were, I decided that my doctor, he put in an emergency room in his office, and I decided it was because of me. It's not that my children they had to have a lot of stitches. So, I was always in there getting them stitched up, and one time I had to go get stitched up. So, that was a strange one. But anyway. I thought that was a good story.
I have a good story. I have one.
Before we hit all the ugly.
Okay. 8 years ago, Hobby Lobby, the president, his name is Steve Green, he was found a new way to express his Christian faith. His family holds about $4 billion in arts and crafts. Well, his family, the Hobby Lobby, has the arts and craft chain. I think everybody knows that. And, he made his statement about closing stores on Sundays. He waged a Supreme Court fight over birth control. And he donates tens of millions of dollars to religious groups. Now, on Friday, his vision has been realized because he's been collecting biblical artifacts that someday it would be like a starting point for a museum. So now his vision has been realized. A 430,000 square foot museum of the Bible opens 3 blocks from the U.S. Capitol.
Cha-ching!
The $500 million museum includes pieces from the family's collection from the Dead Sea Scrolls, towering bronze gates inscribed with text from the Gutenberg Bible, and soundscape of the 10 plagues enhanced by smog and a glowing red light to symbolize the Nile turned to blood. The massive museum has 3 main exhibit floors, lecture and meeting space, restaurants, and a rooftop garden, a ballroom, and a 472-seat theater with wraparound projection walls. He says that the museum is non-sectarian. He says religious scholars and others will be combining the exhibits to see if the claim bears out. He says it's mainly to educate. Museum administrators have taken pains to hire a broad group of scholars as advisors. There's just a basic need for people to read the Bible, he said, sitting in a hotel-style suite inside the museum where visiting dignitaries can stay. This book has had an impact on our world, and we think people ought to know it, and hopefully they'll be inspired to engage with it after they come here. So, awesome. I think that's pretty neat.
It is. You going to go see it?
Yeah, I'm
going
to.
Yes,
it opened today.
Oh, goodness.
So I will be able to.
And you're heading there in December, so you're going to go see that. Oh, I'm so jealous.
So I'll be able to.
Send us pictures.
Yes, I'm so excited.
We want to see them on the radio.
And I don't know how to do that.
No.
I don't know how to transfer pictures from my camera. But, I'm really located next to the National Mall. And the building alone has designed to inspire a sense of wonder. And there's a 140-foot LED display that runs the length of the entrance hall ceiling that bathes the lobby in a changing array of color. I didn't realize it would be so commercialized, but
you got to make money.
You got to make money.
You got to make money. Well, except for you and I, we don't seem to make any money. But
well, I do. I wouldn't be able to do all these programs.
Well, that's true.
I do, and that's.
You have a business, and I talk. I had somebody ask me one time. I was in a gospel group with him years ago, and he said, "Well, how do you like what you do?" And I said, "Hey, I'm female and I'm talking. What do you think?" I'm enjoying it.
Well, when I do programs with Al, I often tell him, Al, I don't like to talk. And he's always going, "What? You're a girl." Like, no.
Well, could have fooled me.
I like to talk about gold and silver, and so it's like, but I'm on radio, so I have to talk.
Passion, and you always should do what your passion is. If at all possible in life, you should follow your passion.
Yes.
Follow your passion. Well, you were talking about the artifacts, and of course, yesterday or earlier this week, the Leonardo da Vinci picture of Christ sold for $450 million, and there's people saying now that it's a fake.
Oh, heavens.
So that's going to be tough. It says even before even before the painting went to auction, it said that Christie's in New York, naysayers from around the art world were savaging its authenticity. Various I can't even read, I'm sorry. Various advisors were muttering darkly, both online and in the auction previews. And one day, before the sale, New York Magazine's Jerry Saltz wrote that though he's no art historian or any kind of expert in old masters, just one look at this painting tells me it's no Leonardo. Well, if I was the guy who bought it, I'd be just a little bit upset. That, just because they say it's not doesn't mean it's not. And I would have thought that they had the authenticity of it examined before they purchased it. $450 million,
Well, I think
I don't think I could have come up with that kind of change for a piece of art.
Well, I think it's mainly because of the what it represents is probably why they're trying to discredit.
Oh, because it's Christ?
Yes.
That might be.
Yes.
You might be correct on that.
That's the way I see it. And I think whoever purchased it will never lose its value. And it's been in a private collection. This is the first, so.
They were talking about that last night. They didn't mention this. This I just saw this morning, but they were talking last night on Fox News that it would never lose its value, ever.
Right. Because of the subject. And, I hope that whoever purchased it is, someone from the other side. Then destroys it and keeps it from, but fascinating picture, beautiful picture.
Yeah, I just saw pictures of the picture, but yeah, I think
absolutely
it
beautiful.
looked very, I don't know, it was intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
It's intriguing.
Yeah.
So, well, let's remind everyone that this is Open Mic Friday. Don't wait till the last segment to call us. Get on the phone, 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. I have this one I thought was funny. I was out last evening doing some things, and when I got back, I turned on the telly, as I always do, and Tucker Carlson was on, and he always
cracks me up.
He gets these people on there. I'm thinking, why do you do this, Tucker? Why do you do this? But he gets this guy on there, and the guy, if I'm going to mess up his name, I know I am. He's from New York, of course. Jumaine Williams. And anyway, they're trying to ban muzzleloaders, the gun.
What?
And yeah. So Fox News, Tucker Carlson took on this Democrat yesterday over new gun control targeting muzzleloaders. Carlson asked New York City Council member Jumaine Williams, so how many crimes do you think in the last, 100 years have been committed with muzzleloaders? So the guy answered him, and he said, well, once this new muzzle is created, they think that somebody's working on a silencer. And
are you kidding me?
A silencer and what do you call it? I don't know. So you can shoot more at a time on the muzzle loader. And he said once this new muzzle is created, we just don't know. But what you do, but you do a great job in, and it works for you. So I'm not saying you should stop. You do a great job of focusing on these single things. And he's talking to Tucker, but he's saying we need to stop it before it happens. So just because nobody's been killed with a muzzleloader doesn't mean we shouldn't ban them. Basically, that's what he's saying. and Tucker, he's just cracking up and he's shaking his head. Are you kidding me? What? And he says it never fails to amaze me. This is what Tucker had said. I don't have it in verbatim. They didn't put it in this little short article, but he said, never fails to amaze me that you guys want to pass a law or talk about something or ban something that you know absolutely nothing about.
Isn't that the truth? Hey, we have our first caller today.
Who do we have?
He's early today, Joe from Arkansas.
Joe from Arkansas. Thank you, Joe.
Good morning, Joe.
Yeah,
He's
good morning.
the early
thank
bird.
you for taking my call.
He's the early bird.
Yeah. Well, since you were talking a lot about art today, I felt like as an artist I wanted to comment on things you were talking about. That's number one, Hobby Lobby. Hobby Lobby is like the Walmart of art supplies. The Hobby Lobby seems to have made so much money in the art supply business. Hello?
We're here.
You're there.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like to go to Hobby Lobby. It seems like very often I'm forced to go and buy some art supplies at Hobby Lobby because I can't get them anywhere else. But I don't like to go there. And before Hobby Lobby came into this town, we had a real art supply store called Triangle that sold good quality stuff, and a lot of them made in America. Now, pretty much everything at Hobby Lobby is made in China, and I guess they stay in business because they've become like Walmart. They sell cheap stuff from China, and so most people go there, and then they put the real art supply stores out of business. But and another thing I don't like about Hobby Lobby is their clever marketing. It's like
we're going. Hey, Joe, you're going to have.
It's like.
Hang on.
Hello.
We're going into a break. Hang on, Joe. All right?
Okay.
We're headed into a break. It is Open Mic Friday. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And we'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Have you seen the Left Behind movies? Have you read the Left Behind fictional book series? Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. Because they see the world stage shaping to fulfill what they have been led to believe is sound biblical interpretation, a left behind rapture scenario, this false view of prophecy is reinforced in the mind, not only of its adherents, but also includes those who have been merely exposed to the specific media. Is it possible that false prophecy can be fulfilled? The rapture theories have always been in dispute. Pre-trib, mid-trib, and post-trib disputes have risen up in exclusively evangelical circles of recent history, so that when true believers don't suddenly disappear, this element will easily go by the wayside when all see a new Jewish temple begin to be built. Will this be part of the great delusion that will come upon the whole earth? It seems that this great prophetic delusion has already overcome practically the entire American evangelical and Christian world. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. To learn more, visit crosstheborder.org. That's CROSS, crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And you're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We're going to go back to Joe. We were talking about Hobby Lobby, and go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so another thing I don't like about Hobby Lobby is their clever marketing. As like, suppose you want a drawing pencil, so you go to Hobby Lobby to get one. You find that you can't just buy the drawing pencil you want. You have to buy a package of 6 drawing pencils in various grades of hardness, to get the one that you want. So you have to spend a lot more money than you really wanted to. And so I admire Hobby Lobby for standing up to the Obama administration and fighting for their religious freedom and so on like that. But as an art supply store, I do not like them. And
as an artist, you would prefer to be at a mom and pop, somebody that was a little more intimate with you. I probably shouldn't use that.
And somebody that had good quality art supplies and made an effort to have a lot more stuff as much as they could to have art supplies made in the USA.
Right.
Well, something, Joe.
That's what I would prefer.
With all these, you suppose it with the tax cuts and the creation of jobs and for the smaller corporations and so forth, and, the talk of, more and more mom and pop shops will be opening up. That I don't know how that can, because they can't compete. They can't compete against the Hobby Lobbies. They can't compete with the Home Depots. They can't compete with the Walmarts. They can't compete with these bigger stores. So, if they haven't been able to hang on up to this point in time, how can they reinvent themselves and open new businesses and so forth? So interesting.
Yeah, it's really tough. I wish we would go back to the days of how the founding fathers dealt with corporations. The law, as I understand it, in the early days of this country, was changed after the Civil War by the influence of the Rockefellers and other big industrialist corporatists and so on like that. But as I understand it, in the beginning of this country, if you wanted to start a corporation, you had to go before Congress and convince Congress that your corporation was going to serve the public good, serve the public interest. Then they would give you a corporate charter that was good for 20 years. And then after 20 years, you would, if you wanted to renew your corporate charter, you had to go before the people's elected representatives in Congress again and show them, demonstrate to their satisfaction that your corporation was serving the public good, serving the public interest. And then they would renew your charter. And that's how Andrew Jackson was able to stop the Second Bank of the United States, because they had got a corporate charter in 1816 that was good for 20 years. And then it came up for renewal in 1836 when Andrew Jackson was president, and he wouldn't endorse the renewal of it. And so that's how the Second Bank of the United States was ended. So I think it would be real good to go back to that sort of system of dealing with corporations.
I think that's a good idea. I don't know if we'll ever get back that far, but yeah, I think it's a good idea. Now, as an individual who's not an artist, I like to go into Hobby Lobby. I like the way that they do business there. It's not high pressure or anything, and the fact that they play Christian music over the intercom instead of some of this wild, crazy stuff. They play Christian music, and I recognize that because like at one time I was a music director in churches and such. But so I like the laid back, and you can go and shop, and they may ask you if they think you look lost. Which apparently a lot of times I do look lost when I'm looking for something, and so I kind of like that laid back. But I certainly get your point, because you're a serious artist, and I can kind of understand where you're coming from on it's the mega Walmart for hobbies. I get that.
Yeah, another thing I'd like to say is you were talking about that guy that, what was it, he spent $450 million on a Leonardo da Vinci painting and was disappointed with it when he got it. Yeah. What I'd suggest to people like that is, if there's any of them listening, is that instead of going for these big names, like Leonardo da Vinci, I think there's probably artists in their own town that are just as good as Leonardo da Vinci that are having a hard time, struggling real hard to make a living. And so what I'd suggest is that you look around him locally and look at the artists around him locally and see if there's somebody that he doesn't really like, that he thinks is a really good artist worth supporting, and buy one of their pictures instead. And they'd probably have to spend a lot less than $450 million on it. And, then he'd be supporting living artists that are just as good as Leonardo da Vinci, instead of going for the glamour of buying, something by a great famous name. Because, Leonardo was a good artist. I'll certainly agree with that. But it seems like there's very little rationality, it often looks to me, in who gets to be a famous rich artist. It seems like sometimes I'll find artists that I think are really, really, really good, but they're really struggling and having a hard time making a living, whereas sometimes there'll be artists that'll be selling their stuff for huge amounts of money that that are downright lousy, are not all that good.
I know.
And
I know,
so, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to help you out here,
Yeah.
Joe. Joe's not bragging on himself, because Joe's telling you to use local. But I'm going to tell you, Joe is really, really, really good. Joe, give your website, because his art is great. We're going into Christmas. What a wonderful gift it would be if you bought a picture from Joe.
Oh, well,
Joe,
thank you
give your
so
website.
much. Yeah, okay.
Give your website,
Okay,
Joe.
my website is www.crackerjoepaintspictures.com. That's crackerjoepaintspictures.com. Thank you very much, Beth and Melody. Good talking to you this morning.
All righty, Joe. Thank you.
All right. His pictures, did you get to go look at them when we talked about that before?
Yes, I did.
Aren't they beautiful?
Yes, I did. Yes, they are. They're very nice.
Beautiful pictures. I really like them. I really think he does a great job. I just don't have any money.
There are some really good artists out there, and my cousin's boy's fiance, she paints to the idea. She paints a lot of portraits, and she gets a lot of her commissions from Etsy, and she goes to a lot of the local art shows, and she usually wins. She's had her paintings in New York and everything, but she can take a picture and paint it in oil, and you can't tell the difference. She is that. The shading, she's that articulate. It is amazing. And
I have a picture story. This was last year. My son gave this to me, and and it's a famous picture of George Washington when he's in the boat crossing the Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
And they had it in the church where he's at, and they weren't going to hang it back up. Somebody had donated it to the church years and years and years and years and years and years and years ago. Well, it looks like the real thing, but it's a forgery. But they said that some little lady in China, which is an artist, you send her a picture and she paints the picture of it, and it's nearly perfect.
That's
what
Megan does. That's what Megan does.
And so that's what I have. I have that at home. So I really think it's a cool picture, and they gave that to me. They're always giving me something patriotic because they know where their mama's heart is. And so he got permission because the church was going to get rid of it. And the guy, of course, now this was years and years and years ago, and they only paid $25 for it. So, anyway.
But no, Megan Burak, I mean, it is incredible. I mean, it is amazing. I told Al to go to her website, and he called me. He said, he says, those aren't pictures. Those aren't paintings. I said, yeah, they are. He says, no. He says, they can't be. I says, well, they are. He says, wow. I mean, it is incredible what some people can do, and I'm a great stick person.
I do
people
stick
person.
People.
Stick people.
I can hang a pretty fancy stick paper. When you play hangman, I can do that.
But anyway, let's say, come on, callers. You can tell it's open mic Friday, folks. So give us a call, and
Joe did not tell me to give his website or anything, but I'm going to tell you what, Joe is good, and you would love it. And what a unique Christmas present that would be for someone, or birthday. I mean, people have birthdays coming up too, and it would just be something unique, and you wouldn't be going to some Walmart or Kmart or whatever, or Sears or whatever. You get something of quality, and I know that his stuff's good. I've been to his website before, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. CrackerJoePaintsPictures.com. And so try that out, and if we sell enough, he'll throw us a little. He'll throw us a bone.
There was an article: the world's first human head transplant was a success.
What?
Italian surgeon Sergio Canavero said a team had realized the first human head transplant was successful. It was an 18-hour operation in China. It was possible to successfully reconnect the spine, the nerves, and the blood vessels. There was a press conference in Vienna, and the Italian professor, the director of Turin Advanced Neuromodulation Group, announced that the team at Harvard Medical University had realized the first human head transplant and said an operation on a live human will take place imminently. That was the problem. It was done in China, and it was carried out on a corpse. So how do you know it was successful? Those Italians, I'll tell you. But it's
well,
just
the old
creepy.
saying, the surgery was a success, but the patient died. That's just kind of scary. That
really
sounds like
is.
something out of the Frankenstein movies and books. Oh my gosh.
It's creepy. We have another caller. We have Neil calling us from Missouri. Good morning, Neil.
Good morning.
Good morning, Neil.
Good morning. I'm just calling about a recurring subject on your program, which you keep referring to the Republic. Legally, the Republic died with the Civil War. The Civil War replaced the Republic with a military dictatorship, which then morphed into a socialist police state. And that's what we live in now. And basically the Supreme Court is just there for show. Every once in a while there'll be some, constitutional issue that they'll rule on, but the lower courts ignore them, basically. And if you don't like it, they know you've got a fat chance of ever getting your case before the Supreme Court to get, an appellate court overturned. But with the 17th Amendment, they eliminated the Senate. That was another, death blow in 1913. What we have is two houses of representatives. And the states no longer have any representation in the federal government. What you have is what they keep telling you is a democracy based upon everybody voting for all your elected representatives and nobody representing the states as a separate governmental entity. So, this thing on the Republic, we might be able to reestablish it, but I seriously doubt it. You need to deal with reality. And reality is we live in a socialist police state.
I don't want to deal with reality, Neil.
I know that's the problem with most people. Reality, what a concept.
That's why they're gonna. Never mind. I don't disagree with you, but I don't want to deal with reality. We didn't do this. We didn't go down that path willingly. You're right.
The people let it happen. The 14th Amendment eliminated state citizens, basically. Converted people to the people who were citizens. Their offspring voluntarily converted themselves to 14th Amendment citizen subjects. It says right in there, the 14th Amendment, they are subjects of the United States government, and they are, by federal government decree, citizens of the state in which they reside. Whereas originally, you had to be a state citizen for a minimum of 3 years before you could even apply for United States citizenship. That doesn't happen anymore.
They don't even have to apply.
The states are basically now have been bought off by the feds by federal funding and are just branches of the federal government. They really don't have any authority under the law to any independent action.
All right. That wasn't very good news going into the weekend, Neil. But I agree with you.
I'm sorry I didn't make your day, but that's what's happened, and that's what's going on. So
you're supposed to tell me everything's beautiful.
There is one solution. There's still that one solution, and it's in the Bible. Take a look at Revelation 18:4. That's the only solution there is, and you can still pretty much get the First Amendment enforced in court, even the lower courts. So take a look at Revelation 18:4 if you want the solution to this problem.
All right, we will do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. I don't like to deal with reality. You know that?
No, it's a whole lot easier.
I tell you what, we're
but reality does strike, and reality always rears its ugly head, and that's what I talk about in the finances. We've been living in a world that is make believe, and it's an illusion, and I talk about the fiat currency, and it's true with the Federal Reserve and the creation, and the central bank, and you just follow the paper trail. You just follow from, how it's changed and how it's affected and how government has changed and grown. And we're talking in our lifetime and I wasn't born in 1913, but it's, we've seen the big changes and I think that's the big reason why they like to remove history. They don't want people to know. They don't want people to find out what they've been doing and what they have, not what they're doing, but what they have done. They don't want them to do comparisons. When I traveled overseas, I was always amazed at how much of our history, the people that you talk to knew. It's like, well, you know more about our history than the people of our country do. And, of course, they says, well, we've been around a lot longer, and, we understand. Yeah, they understand the importance of history. And they follow because they all been impacted. But, we've come to... it's been a long time since anybody's had a bad day in this country, and so therefore there's no need to look at history. But I think that will all change, hopefully.
Well, I had a quote for you, but it's in the other room, so I can't bring it. But it had to deal with what you exactly were saying, and it was on control, and one of the things they were doing with this control, and this is an old quote, it's not something new, was removing history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you don't, what's the old saying? If you don't remember whence you came, you can't know where you're going.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And are we not an example of that for sure?
We absolutely.
Neil's right. We've become we're acting like a democracy, but we were actually in 1776 established to be a republic. I guess that's probably the wrong date. But when they actually put the Constitution in place, but. We were established to be a republic, and he said very wisely, if you can keep it.
If you can keep
it. I have a book, If You Can Keep It. My son gave me, for my birthday, gave it to both my husband and I. haven't had a chance to read it. It's really a good book, though. He said he knew I would really enjoy it. I had some excerpts that I used from it when I did the 4th of July show for CSC Talk Radio. But it's really a great, great book. if you can keep it. And we have obviously failed to keep it. So Neil is correct on that. But I'm still going to stand on it.
Yes, he is. And what else do we have?
Well, I was going to say this is just real short and sweet. I think that, I don't know about sweet, but it's short. If our listeners have been paying attention, they know that they have now, I think somebody leaked it. I don't think they were supposed to give the name of the informant for the FBI, that they've been trying to get the gag order released on him so that he can testify before Congress. Well, they let his name out. And, of course, they're concerned about his life. Now, they said last night on Fox that he is actually battling cancer. And but he's put all this, he spent, I don't know if they said 3 years or 5 years putting all this information together, trying to bring this before them because of what had taken place, and he was concerned for this nation. But his name is William Campbell, and he's a Russian lobbyist, or was, and he's the informant, according to Reuters. He will be testifying before the Congressional Committee about the 2010 sale of Uranium One, where a Russian-backed company bought a uranium firm with mines in the U.S., and Campbell gave information to the FBI about what he saw and what was going on, and of course they have done everything they can to keep him quiet and shut him up. So he has he's a brave man, I do believe, but now he's got two battles on his hand because he's been trying to live undercover for a while, I imagine for his life, and now his name is out. So we all need to be in prayer for that man for sure. Plus he's battling cancer. So, at least that's what they said last night, that he has a couple of battles going on in his life, and that's one of them.
Did they say what kind of cancer?
No, they did not.
Oh, okay.
No, they did not. But there's a professor, as Derry used to call them, the professors, and he says having kids is an indulgence that's bad for the earth. It's bad for the earth to have children. I'm probably going to get put in jail, aren't I? He says, having a child is a major contributor to climate change. It's my fault, Melody.
It's all your fault. I'll come visit you since I don't have children. I'll come visit you.
He says the logical takeaway here is that everyone on Earth ought to consider having fewer children. Having a child imposes high carbon emissions on the world, while the parents get the benefit. So, like, what benefit? I got grandchildren. That's my benefit. So, like with any high-cost luxury, we should limit our indulgence. The scientific half of this position is fairly well established, he says. Several years ago, scientists showed that having a child, especially for the world's wealthy, is one of the worst things you can do for the environment. The second moral aspect of the view, that perhaps we ought to have fewer children, is also being taken seriously in many circles. Indeed, I have written widely on the topic myself. I wonder how many kids he has. It might say in this. I didn't read it. I don't know. Siri keeps thinking I'm talking to her. I don't know what her problem is. This is what he says. If I release a murderer from prison, knowing full well that he intends to kill innocent people, then I bear some responsibility for those deaths, even though the killer is also fully responsible. My having released him doesn't make him less responsible. He did it, but his doing it doesn't eliminate my responsibility either. Something similar is true, I think, when it comes to having children. Once my daughter is an autonomous agent, she will be responsible for her emissions. But that doesn't, I'm thinking of my children, if they'd have heard that. But that doesn't negate my responsibility. Moral responsibility simply isn't mathematical. So if you buy this view of responsibility, you might eventually admit that having many children is wrong, or at least morally suspect. For standard environmental reasons, having a child imposes high emissions on the world while the parents get the benefit. I'm trying to figure out what he's thinking the benefit is. So, like, with any high-cost luxury, we should limit our indulgence. Well, there were some emissions from those children, honestly.
I suspect there was. But
and being all boys, since I raised all boys, they kind of like to rate those from 1 to 10. So,
keep the matches away.
Yes, absolutely.
Hide the matches.
Oh my goodness. They're a little better now that they're adults, but they drove their mother crazy when they were younger. It's like crazy. But I don't believe this. If that's true, why don't we just plant more trees, because they breathe what we exhale. People.
Well, I think I'm going to put this in our newsletter for financial survival. Again, it's Patrick Buchanan. The headline is America Up for a Second Cold War. And it really is interesting because he made some points in his article, and he talks about after the 19th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party back in October, when Premier Xi Jinping's vision of the emerging New World Order, this is a big deal. I think that was a big deal. And, he talks about how by 2049, China shall have become the first power on earth. This is the centennial, 2049 will be the centennial of the triumph of the Communist Revolution. Her occupation and humiliation by the West and Japan in the 19th and 20th centuries will have become hated but ancient history. So, we really are in a time of change of so many things. We're seeing the world redistribute the power. And, he goes on and he talks about what will America's vision be? Well, what will America's cause in the 21st century? What is the mission and the goal that will unite, inspire, and drive us on? And those are all questions and very nice articles. So,
that sounds good.
Yeah.
I like Pat Buchanan. I just really do like Pat Buchanan. Well, I hear the music. We're headed into the final segment of today's show, so we're going to give the phone number out one more time. It is Open Mic Friday, 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218 is the number to call. It is Open Mic Friday, and Melody and Beth Ann will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Friday, we're in the final segment of today's show. The number to call is 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Well, you know, sex sells, apparently. You know, Melody, we're hearing a lot about sexual assaults and just all kinds of bad behavior. I don't know how else to put it. It's just disgusting. Well, I saw this. I went to lifenews.com. It's a good place to go. They're a pro-life news organization, and they have all kinds of stories, pro and con. They'll let you know what's going on. This is a prison employee. Well, I guess he had some perks in his employee service. So he was having sex with multiple inmates, and then he paid for an abortion for one of those inmates. So I'm thinking he's probably, you know, going to run for Congress or something pretty soon. This is a former Kansas prison employee, and he's facing more than a dozen sexual assault charges after he allegedly had sex with multiple inmates and even helped pay for an abortion. This is just disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting. Taking advantage, and I'm sure these aren't good girls in prison, but taking advantage of them, no telling what he was promising them. I'll help you with the parole board. There's no telling.
Well, you know what? We do have a caller, but, you know, we live in a society where there's no accountability for anyone's actions anymore. I mean, it's just like, hey, we've been, you know, how long have they been promoting if it feels good, you know, do it. You know, and here we are today. And the stories are coming out for people who did just that. And everybody was just turned a blind eye, whether they approved, disapproved, or chuckled along with it, and so forth. And, you know, we do have a caller, Beth.
Okay. I can't see.
We have Steve in Florida calling us this morning. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to get a little serious with you today. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm on a cell phone. I'm a member, actually a board member of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, and it's been 17 years.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm on the board. I've analyzed these 3 buildings that came down in New York, and you got to remember, doctors practice medicine, lawyers practice law, but engineers, we don't practice engineering. It's the only
no, you don't practice.
That's
for sure. Good point, Steve.
So these 3 towers came down by controlled demolition. It took 1,800 charges. It took 8 months to set all that up. The question is, who did it? Well, you got to go back to the money system. You got to go back to the bankers. And the American Revolution was really fought over King George III trying to force us to use his currency and charging us interest for using his currency. Well, we won that war, and it didn't take very much longer. 20, 30 years later, they came back in the War of 1812 and tried to force it down our throat again, and we beat them again. And then came in Andrew Jackson, who kept fighting the bankers, the central bankers. And, in fact, if you go to his headstone where he was buried, it says, "I broke the banks." So that was about the banking situation. And here came the Civil War with Lincoln. Well, you know, it was about slavery, but it was more about the currency.
That's right, it was.
Yeah, and so you had Lincoln putting out the greenbacks. Well, they couldn't have that because they can't charge interest on greenbacks, so they killed Lincoln. Well, they just kept going and going. And then and the Astor family was coming over from England to try to put a stop to this Federal Reserve Act of 1913. They were on the Titanic in 1911. Well, guess what? They got rid of the Titanic because without the Astors, they could get it passed. Well, it passed in 1913. And then it didn't take them but a year to get World War I staged so they could fund both sides of it. And it just led to World War II, to every war we've ever seen. They stage them. They fund both sides. And, you know, we got to see where the problem is. You got to go all the way to the top to the Committee of 300, where the Rothschilds are basically controlling all of it. But if we don't stop this counterfeiting that's going on by the Federal Reserve, where they're counterfeiting trillions of dollars and giving us a few billion. See, Kennedy, they killed Kennedy because he issued $5 billion worth of silver certificates at the time and filed the Executive Order 11,110 to abolish the Federal Reserve. That's what killed. Go ahead.
The Pauls have tried to audit the Federal Reserve, and that's never gone anywhere.
Well, you know why? Because we've had three bills passed the House because they can't buy everybody off, but it passes in the House, but they can buy all the senators off. There's only 100 of them.
They're already bought and paid for. We can see that.
So they're bought and paid for. So these three bills that have passed the House have failed in the Senate. So until we get them audited, we're not getting anywhere. I don't care who the organization is. If they're printing their own money to the tune of trillions and they're evil, you can't stop them until you stop the money trail. You've got to. I mean, you take the money away from them, they can be as evil as they want to be, but they can't get the job done. They've got to have the money.
You're right.
So that's the core of the problem of the world, not just the United States. And it's going to lead to...
that's true, because it is global. It's a global situation. That's true.
Like Gaddafi. He was part of the system for a long time. He just started selling his oil on the dinar, and they had to kill him so they could get the American dollar strong. The fiat American dollar backed up by nothing by putting a puppet in there.
Yep.
And now they're demonizing Putin because he was part of the Federal Reserve System. Now he's backed away and started BRICS, where he's selling his oil on the ruble, and it's pissing them off. So they dropped the price of oil from $100 a barrel. I'm in the oil business too. I know, to $25 a barrel, just to put pressure on him to come back into the fold. But he's not going to do it, and China's not either. So the only thing that's going to keep the American dollar afloat and strong is selling oil worldwide on the world currency. But the International Monetary Fund, who controls what is the world's currency and what isn't, is about ready to change. The dollar's fixing to collapse. It takes a 15% block vote in IMF to change the world currency. And if that occurs, the dollar will crash immediately.
Yeah.
And that will lead to World War. They won't let that happen because it'll lead to World War III. They'd rather bomb atomic nuclear bomb the whole damn world than to lose the American dollars, their currency, because Rothschilds couldn't go anywhere near. Could the Bushes, Clintons, you just name them all, and they're all puppets of this Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
Kennedy wasn't. Reagan wasn't at start. They tried to kill him. They took Brady to a hospital who got shot. They took Reagan to the Bethesda hospital, the same corrupt hospital they took Kennedy to. And when they got to Bethesda, they realized Reagan was going to live, so they turned around, went back to Brady's hospital. He got there an hour after Brady was there. So when Reagan came out of it, he realized who tried to kill him, so he let Bush take over. Bushes are the worst group.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
They're really terrible. They're really
and
terrible.
I think they're showing their for people who didn't see. I think they're showing their colors here recently. They stayed silent through the Obama administration, and now they're coming out against this administration, and I think they're showing their colors.
Well, it leads to the Rockefellers even. Rockefellers have great interest in the Federal Reserve, so guess what they're doing? With their counterfeit trillions, they're buying off the medical industry.
Yeah.
I'm a nutritionist, an engineer, professional engineer. I'm a lot of things, but I've worked with sick people for 25 years. We've known the cure and cause of all of our diseases since 1931. Dr. Otto Warburg of Germany was given the Nobel Peace Prize for discovering that all the diseases are due to lack of oxygen at the cellular level. So what happens is the Rockefellers come in, they buy off all the medical schools, to where if you don't push pharmaceuticals, you don't get the substance. So the medical schools are teaching the doctors that pharmaceuticals are the only way to go. It's
we're kind of living.
Greek word.
Steve, we're kind of living in a land of pretending, aren't we? If we don't wake up, I mean, we're just pretending we've got this and got that. We pretend we have freedom and we don't, and And the currency is phony baloney, and it just goes on. And the things that happen around us, we act like we're in awe of it, and yet we know that if you follow the Monday, you can see. Now, do you listen to CSC Talk Radio too on shortwave?
Hello, no.
Okay. I hear the music. I was going to say, I've had people from your organization on before. It's been a long time, but I've had them on before that you started out with. All right, Steve, we're out of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Pretty appreciate it. Melody, it's Friday, girl.
It is.
We're going into a weekend. I hope everyone has a beautiful weekend. Enjoy your time with family. Don't spend too much time catching up on the chores. Find some time too.
Well, I'll take your advice on that one.
All right.
All right.
You have a good weekend, and we will see you all on Monday.
Thanks.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.